A common question I get asked is, why do we need to run a branded search campaign or a branded shopping campaign? Why do we need to be bidding on our own branded name and be spending budget there on Google Ads? In this video, I'll be running through the 2 reasons as to why it's essential that you need to be running both of these campaigns, even though they might seem like they're a waste of spend on the surface. Reason number 1 is data integrity. The simple fact of it is that if you don't bid on your own branded keyword, your other campaigns will, especially if you're running Performance Max, especially if you're running broad keywords. No matter how much negative keywording you do, it will always slip through the cracks, and these campaigns will always end up bidding on your own branded key term. And the reason for that is that Google will always be maximizing and prioritizing the highest amount of attributed revenue in the platform possible. And the reason why they do that is because they want the return on ad spend in the platform to look as high as it can possibly look, so that you continue investing in the platform, and ideally you continue increasing your investment in the platform. And so Google's incentives aren't aligned with your incentives here. And that's why no matter what you do, your campaigns will always bleed into brand search and bid on it. Now, what's the consequence here? Why is that a bad thing? The reason why it's a bad thing is, number 1, you lose data integrity and the ability to delineate branded conversions versus cold conversions. And so when you start looking at making scaling decisions, let's say you're looking at a Performance Max campaign, the return on ad spend is at a 6 or a 7, it's well above the KPIs that you've set for yourself. And so you think that you should start increasing budgets there. You start increasing budgets, but top line revenue doesn't change. And the reason top line revenue doesn't change is because all of the attributed conversions, all of that 6 return on ad spend was just coming from branded traffic. And so when you tried to scale the budget, it either just started spending even more money for the clicks on the same branded traffic, or it started going after cold audiences, which it's never done before, and it's not able to find any conversions. And so if you don't have clear delineation of returning customer revenue versus new customer revenue through your Google Ads campaigns, it becomes very hard to make educated decisions on how you're going to scale. The second primary issue with data integrity when it comes to bidding on brand search using other campaigns is that they'll end up overbidding. If you don't run a brand search campaign right now, you can go into your ad account, go into a search campaign or a Performance Max, and have a look at the average CPCs on your branded keywords. They're likely going to be $1, $2, $3. They don't need to be. The reason they don't need to be is because you should have a 10 out of 10 quality score for your branded keyword, and your competitors shouldn't. Unless you have a generic brand name like Lashes or something like that, where your competitors will likely have a high quality score, you should have a 10 out of 10. Your competitors should really have a 2 out of 10. And so what that means is your competitors have to outbid you by 5 to 10x to be able to outrank you, which means that your average CPC should sit 10x lower than theirs on your own branded keywords, meaning that you really shouldn't be paying any more than 10 to 15 cents per click, unless you're in a big competitive industry where there's a lot of competitors going after your branded traffic. If that isn't the case, honestly, you can be spending 2 to 3 cents per click on these branded campaigns. But the only way to do that is to pull it out into a dedicated campaign. If you let your other campaigns bid on your branded keyword, your average CPCs will inflate significantly. Reason number 2 is the defensive play. You've probably heard this before, which is that if you're not bidding on your own branded keyword, then your competitors can. And your competitors can go and place on your own branded keyword and steal your bottom of funnel traffic away from you, which is highly, highly effective. And this is a really common strategy used in SaaS particularly. So if I go ahead, for example, and Google for Triple Whale here, you can see the number 1 search result that appears isn't Triple Whale. It's a competitor bidding on them incredibly aggressively. They're probably paying $100, $200 a click on this search ad. But you can see the headline right here is Triple Whale, Polar is better. And then it goes into the reasons why. I've seen a lot of variations of this ad, and I've seen a lot of competitors doing this to Triple Whale. And so people can do this to you if you're not bidding on your own branded keyword, and particularly if you don't have it segmented out into its own campaign where you have individual auction insights. The thing is, if Triple Whale doesn't have a dedicated brand search campaign here, they don't have any access to how much top of page impression share Polar Analytics currently has on them. If they had a dedicated campaign, they'd be able to see that data, identify that Polar Analytics is going really aggressively at the moment in Australia on their keyword, and they'd be able to rectify this. My assumption is that Triple Whale probably isn't that aware that this is going on right now, particularly in the Australian geographic region, and that's where Polar Analytics would be exploiting. And so they don't have the ability to quickly pivot and increase average CPCs to prevent this from happening, because I can guarantee that Polar Analytics is stealing a lot of customers away from Triple Whale just with that headline in itself. So they're the two main reasons as to why you always want to run a brand search campaign, and ideally a branded shopping campaign as well. It's so that, number one, you have data integrity, you have delineation of data between new customers and returning customers so that you can make more educated decisions when you're looking to scale campaigns. And number two is a defensive play against competitors. If you don't bid on your branded keywords, your competitors will. And so it's really important that you're placing there so that your competitors don't get an easy opportunity to steal bottom of funnel traffic away from you.